to another streaming movie review, and today we are reviewing the newer Apple TV Plus movie. This is Blitz. Yes, Blitz is a new Apple TV Plus movie written and directed by Steve McQueen. You might know that name from things like 12 Years a Slave, Widows, as well as Shame and Occupied City. But of course, in this time now, he is basically doing Blitz, which follows the story of, World War II and the Blitz. London actually went through it. It was basically based on this German word, Blitz of Geiger, or something like that. Basically meant explosion, or like lights that explode. And that's a German word that they turned into the London Blitz. Now, basically in that time, London was getting bombed by German bombers. The city, it would go dark, and it would try and distract, the planes, and they would just, at night time, you had to be completely silent and dark. And in that time, all kids were kind of evacuated, around the country because, Germany was attacking London and big cities. So, kids were evacuated to save their lives. So this follows the story. We get some really cool actors in there. So Saoirse Ronan, who was actually in a film I watched recently called The Outlaw. She's in this movie starring as Rita. We get Harrison Dickinson in this movie as well as Jack. And then we get George. George is Rita's son, and he's played by Elliot Heffernan. There's also Paul Weller in this movie as Gerald, which I thought was quite interesting. And he was really good, actually. He was like the granddad. He was pretty decent in there as well. As per the Letterboxd, bio, I guess, of what the movie is, it says, in World War II London, 9-year-old George is evacuated to the countryside by his mother. They have a bit of a falling out at that point, and they kind of leave things on bad terms. Ultimately, then he's on the train, and he's like, I don't really want to do this. My mum sent me away. I want to go back. He jumps off the train to then head back to London because he just wants to see his mum. He doesn't want to be evacuated. Eventually Rita then finds out, as per the authorities, and she wants to go and find her son. And this was my criticism with the film. So let's continue on by here. So obviously he's been evacuated to the countryside. Defiant and determined to return to his family, George embarks on an epic, perilous journey back as Rita searches for him. And that's my criticism of the film, was the whole journey back was multiple subplots that didn't really align at all. There was at one point, George was picked up by Steve Graham, would you believe it, the actor, who was fantastic, by the way. He was playing Albert. He's playing like this gangster guy, and then he wanted George, like the kid, to actually go into this jewelry shop, because obviously during the Blitz, if something was attacked, he would be like, don't go in the building, it's not safe. But if it was a jewelry shop, there's valuables in there, so crime spiked up, so they would use kids to go in the small holes, go and grab what they can and come out, and that was it. And I guess they'd feed the kids then because, they weren't getting fed like street kids and stuff like that. And at this point, George is a street kid. So that was one plot. Then we had another plot where he met these kids and something happened, and I'm not going to spoil it, but he met these kids and it just didn't end well. And then there was other plots where he was in a subway, and then he was sleeping, and then it started drowning, and there was multiple things that didn't really matter to the plot. Ultimately, he was just trying to get back home to his mum. That's what the film was about. And it just felt like the writing was a bit mismatched in this, and a bit too much going on for what this film was, which was just a bog standard movie about the Blitz and a relationship between mother and her son. And, ultimately they have an argument and then wanting to get back. There was a lot of things in there about race. George was actually his father was black, his mum, Saoirse Ronan's white. And so there was a lot in there about race and all of that, which again was another subplot really to the underlying movie. And I understand it's a very important thing based on the character. But I think what was needed is they needed to choose one subplot and focus heavily on that, rather than having the whole story with Steve Graham and the whole gangster kind of stuff and using the kids for that aspect. It's like they wanted to get that point across, but they could have just done that in like a short clip or a scene of in the distance, George just catches the eye of this young kid or something, and he's being used to push in there and by gangsters. Obviously, if you want to get that across, but you didn't need an entire 25-30 minute of that entire thing on the go, if that makes sense. So that was my criticism with the movie. However, some of the things that it did do well for me was the sound. It sounded phenomenal in this room. It was one of the first times I've watched in this room now recently after getting it all done out and stuff. And I would put the audio of the Dolby Atmos track up there with Top Gun Maverick. It is phenomenal. Very, very good. Obviously, it should be with the Blitz. Sounded like there was bombs raining down through my bloody ceiling here, but it sounded phenomenal and I really enjoyed that. Looks wise, I thought it was a bit meh, to be honest. It didn't look great. The money spent by Apple wasn't good. It wasn't executed well. It did look very cheaply made, and it did look like a TV movie, if I'm going to do that in these reviews, because that's what I normally do. So yeah, this did have a limited cinema run in the UK, not in Cineworld unfortunately, so I just waited for it to come on Apple TV, and I think it was out like a week before it actually hit Apple TV on like the 22nd of November. So Blitz, what did I rate Blitz? What will I give it in my letterbox? Well, I gave it a 2.5 stars. I say I really did like, enjoyment level of the movie was quite good, but the whole subplot of George, and there was so much going on with him, I found that to be quite difficult. Him and Saoirse Ronan's relationship was like, you know, kind of skimmed on the surface. We didn't really see much going on in that relationship. There was not real much flashbacks there. You know, there was some story about his father, then his father got taken away, and that kind of like didn't go any further. There's a lot of that on the go, and it's quite disappointing. I feel like this might have been better written to be a TV show, you know, maybe 6 to 7, 8 episodes kind of thing. I think it would have been better. Ultimately, as a movie, it didn't work for me, but some great performances in there and some technical masterclass from the mixing of the sound. But that's as far as it goes. One-time watch for me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you seen Blitz? Are you going to see it? If you are, it is on Apple TV Plus. If you're not, it might even be still in cinemas around the country, but let me know if you've seen it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon, and of course, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.